Not Just the Washingtonians, Part 2, by Bob K. Part 2, The Jacobe Club. The Jacobe Club began in 1909 as an offshoot of the Emmanuel Movement, first as an informal auxiliary meeting for people who were affected by drinking problems to meet and help each other. Ernest Jacobe, a parishioner and rubber merchant, began the group as an adjunct to the social service work of Emmanuel Church. The group stated its purpose in various ways, ranging from men helping each other to a place where men who lost their grip could get together, to a place for down-and-outers to gather and reconstitute themselves. There is no doubt that the main purpose of the group was to provide self-help among the newly abstinent patients of the Emmanuel program who had alcoholism as one of their most important problems. See The Road to Fellowship by Richard M. Dubiel, pages 81 and 82. Throughout pre-AA history, the unique power of one alcoholic helping another has been repeatedly demonstrated, as drunks have gathered together for mutual support in the effort to stay sober. Some of these groups have been religious or spiritual, others not. In all cases, the ongoing interaction with other alcoholics was a critical ingredient in ensuring sustained sobriety, perhaps the essential factor. Of all the various groups and movements, the Jacobe Club of Boston seems to have been the one most resembling Alcoholics Anonymous. In fact, AA's secretary, Ruth Hawk, referred early inquiries from Boston to the Jacobes. In 1940, the remaining alcoholic portion of the club merged with a newly founded AA group being developed by Patty K. The progressive ministers of Boston's Emmanuel Church had, in 1906, established an outreach clinic to assist the victims of tuberculosis and their families. Among the patients that were treated, they encountered large numbers of the mentally ill and a substantial population of alcoholics, some of whom they were able to help get sober. Churchman Ernest Jacobe separated the reformed drunkards from the others being assisted by the clinic and provided them with a gathering place in the basement of the church. In May 1910, Reverend Elwood Worcester acknowledged Jacobe's unassuming but truly Christian work in helping men and women who are struggling to escape from the slavery of drunkenness. Worcester further praised the group's effort to remind men of their good resolution, surround them with good influences, and to supply them with good motives. See Parish News. The Jacobe Club split with the Emmanuel Movement in 1913 and set up its own clubhouse. Its motto was, "A club for men to help themselves by helping other men." There were no membership dues, and the only requirement for membership was an express desire to lead an honorable life and a willingness to aid other men less fortunate. The Jacobe Club provided social services to alcoholics and indigent older men. Its Saturday night meetings included food, entertainment, and lectures on topics of current interest. See Jacobe Club records. Perhaps the key aspect of the club was seen as a manifestation of personal religion, that every man who is cured shall undertake the reformation of one other person. This was regarded as a critical function in creating a spirit of service, which would later become the 12th step of the AA program. The ministering of physicians and clergy became secondary to the philosophy and operating of the program, with self-help and fellowship looming larger. Perhaps herein lies the cause of the eventual split with the Emmanuel Church. See Dubille, page 83. Growth. The club started with 6 members in 1909. William L. White has the start date as 1910, while the Jacobe papers suggest a 1908 beginning. A Boston Globe article in July 1913 claimed that, to that point, 500 men had been helped. By 1913, the club was ready for new quarters. The Boston Globe had this as merely being a need for more space as numbers continued to rise. If there was a schism of some sort, it was glossed over in the press, which stressed the continuing affiliation of the two groups. The exact reasons for the split are perhaps never to be known. Perhaps the non-denominational nature of the Jacobe Club rankled Worcester and his associates, but this remains a hypothesis only. The fact is that an ineffable something occurred that is likely linked to the non-denominational aspects of the group. The full impact of the disease concept was a long way off. Many still viewed those afflicted by alcoholism as abhorrent, tainted moral failures. Worcester and his associates probably did not wish to stretch the generosity of the Emmanuel Church's parishioners too far toward the morally suspect. See Dubille, page 85. The 1915-16 annual report claimed 1,400 helped since the inception of the group in the Emmanuel Church basement. Summer quarters were the riverside recreational grounds where the Saturday and Sunday morning gatherings offered opportunities for a variety of sports and games. The group moved again in 1917 to 249 Newberry Street. Key features. It must be noted that not all members were alcoholics. In fact, the alcohol connection was somewhat veiled in the beginning, perhaps in order to not inordinately distress the parishioners. The stats for 1913 showed 114 alcoholics of 183 total helped by the club, something over 60%. A key feature was the emphasis on helping oneself by being of service to others, perhaps the core element of the Alcoholics Anonymous program, which would come along some 2 decades later. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. See AA Big Book, page 89. I soon found that when all other measures failed, work with another alcoholic would save the day. See Big Book, page 15. In helping others, Jacobe Club members helped themselves. Special brother. A third feature was related to the second, that of taking personal responsibility for at least one other person. This adaptation of the buddy system was referred to as having a special brother. This special relationship was described as one in which the member would win the confidence of his new charge, look after him in a man-to-man fashion, and without any air of patronage. In a word, be his chum and helper. See Dubille, page 87. Each man received individual attention even beyond that of the special brother mentoring. Rather than the strict application of any institutional system, code, or dogma, each case was treated as unique. Each received personal care. Besides supplying the companionship that was thought necessary for regeneration, the club provided assistance that might come in the form of medical care, family counseling, or aid in securing employment. The sympathy and compassion of the Jacobe group never diminished its progressive era optimism and confidence in eventual success. A Horatio Alger spirit lay just below the surface of the Jacobe Club. See Dubiel, page 88. The group's fellowship included a wide range of social and recreational activities, from baseball to playing the piano. Legacy. The Jacobe group had 30 years of impressive success in treating alcoholics. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, they were also based on fellowship and involved in a synthesis between lay psychological counseling and spirituality. See Heinzfoot.org. In 1940, Paddy Keegan came to Boston to start the first AA group in that city and linked his Boston work with the Jacobe Club. The weekly AA meeting was at first held at the Jacobe Club's 115 Newbury Street address. Ruth Hawk, at the New York AA office, put Boston alcoholics in contact with Lawrence Heddlestead, the man running the Jacobe Club program for alcoholics. It was not until the next year, 1940, when the AA group moved 4 blocks further west to 306 Newbury Street, that they began to totally distance themselves from the Jacobe Club. See Heinzfoot.org. The Jacobe Club, as a vehicle for the reformation of alcoholics, came undone in the early 1940s in a sea of political wrangling, a description of which is beyond the scope of this essay. Fans of Alcoholics Anonymous, prompted by an enthusiasm for touting their own program, tend to mistakenly label groups such as the Jacobes as failed efforts. In actuality, they seem to have been quite successful in the reformation of alcoholics. Their failure was in avoiding the divisiveness that led to an eventual undoing. Also lacking was an ambition to grow the group beyond its local boundaries. They had no entrepreneurial visionary such as Bill Wilson to spur a worldwide movement. In 1987, the Jacobe Club terminated its programs and turned over its funds to the Boston Foundation, an organization that continues to support the same type of services. See Jacobe Club Records. Similarity to AA. We know little of Ernest Jacobe. When he founded and funded the club that would come to bear his name, he was a young man in his late 20s. Jacobe was a parishioner at the Emmanuel Church and a successful rubber merchant. We do not know the motivations behind his specific interest in helping alcoholics. He was a non-drinker himself. It's possible the brothers he left behind in England were drinkers, or his father, or a beloved uncle. We simply do not know. The Jacobe Club and Alcoholics Anonymous sprouted from broader religious movements, and, in both cases, chose to separate from the religious parent organization. As did Bill Wilson 25 years later, Ernest Jacobe saw the healing of alcoholics as a calling higher than adherence to specific Christian dogma. The core spiritual element of both groups is a very human one, resting in ongoing efforts to help others. Detachment from the parent religious organization, in each case, allowed a single-minded focus on the very earthly problems that surround the disease of alcoholism. The Jacobe Club, of course, had no 12 steps. They did have fellowship, identification, meetings, sponsors, sober recreational activities, and a desire to lead more upstanding lives. Common problems among alcoholics are purposeless and low self-esteem. Both of these troubles are enormously improved by helping others. The core value of helping others is shared with AA. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. See Big Book, page 89. AA gets a lot right. It matters not that these things have been done before. About the author, Bob Kay. Bob Kay lives in the metropolitan Toronto area and has been a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous for 24 years and an out-of-the-closet atheist for that entire time. He has been a regular contributor to the AA Agnostica website for almost 5 years and, in January 2015, published Key Players in AA History. In 2013, he co-founded the Whitby Freethinkers Meeting. To read the original print version of this essay, not just the Washingtonians, Part 2, by Bob Kay, simply visit the website aabeyondbelief.org, and you'll find it under Menu AA History, dated April 30, 2017. For more stories, articles, and podcasts, please visit our YouTube or SoundCloud channels. Just search for AA Beyond Belief.